I read the entire Scared Sexy series on Amazon. It's a collection of spooky and spicy, written by well-known authors such as Ali Hazelwood, Ruby Dixon, J.T. Geisinger, Christina Lauren, Kimberly Lemming, and K.T. Robert. I was scared, but was I sexy? Well, if you consider Halloween Walmart shirts, Amazon fall watch bands, and Snoopy Halloween mugs sexy, then yeah, I guess I was sexy. Scared. Hi, my name is B. Welcome to my channel, Mama Needs to Read Romance, and rank and rate these 6 books for you. It'll be spooky, spicy, and spoiler-free. Okay, so I wasn't even sure I was going to like the Scared Sexy series, but I really enjoyed them, but I do feel like some are better than others. We're gonna start at number 6 for me and work our way up to number 1. If you've read these before, be sure to let us know what you thought, and if you haven't, I hope that this inspires you to try some out. Before one more moment passes, I need to thank one of our brand new queen bees, one of my channel members, Nikki Hyson. Nikki, we are so thrilled to have you joining our community. I hope that you enjoy all of the extra content that you're getting. It means the world to me that you're willing to support me in this way, and I hope that you just enjoy our community so very much. Thanks, Nikki. Coming in at number 6, Spicy Little Curses by J.T. Geisinger. This was the first thing I've ever read by J.T. Geisinger, so I was really excited. I loved that this was set in New Orleans. What a perfect place for a spooky, spicy story. And our story focuses on Petra. She's a reporter. She's trying to get the latest scoop, and her latest story is a guy named Dax who has these really interesting tattoos that are said to move. Both of them become very surprised when she is capable of moving or affecting his tattoos. He's cursed, she might be cursed. We're not really sure, but now they have to work together in this forced proximity. They're going through all of New Orleans at night, chased by something pretty scary, trying to figure out what is going to happen, and it does not look good. This wound up being actually my least favorite, in part because I felt like the tone was a little bit off. I appreciated the humor. Our heroine is especially quirky, but sometimes when I wanted to be scared, I found that her reactions to things were kind of, for me at least, sort of harming the vibe. It felt like it was tonally kind of bumping into each other, like it wasn't sure what it wanted to be. This was the only story where I felt like the spice didn't even really need to be there. I don't know. It didn't really do anything for me, or the plot, in my opinion. Now, I know someone who this was her favorite, so I'd love to hear more of her thoughts. Do leave a comment. I wound up giving this 3 stars, and Goodreads gives it a 3.58, at least so far. Coming in at number 5, Falling by Christina Lauren. Now, I feel like the summary actually gives a little bit more away, so I'm going to be intentionally more vague than the summary of this book. We have a woman who has really become disillusioned with her 3-month boyfriend. She breaks up with him at a party, but all of a sudden finds this enigmatic man who is absolutely gorgeous, and they have this weird pull, this interesting connection. He gets her alone in a room at this Halloween party, and sparks begin to fly. She's not really sure what's going on, and quite frankly, he isn't either, because he has been cursed. He's been alive for about 900 years and hasn't really felt anything in a very long time. However, he's starting to feel things for our heroine. He's intrigued because it's like, why is she different than everyone else? What follows is an evening of lots of spice and secrets revealed. I wound up giving this 3.5 stars. Goodreads rates it at a 3.45, which is pretty much right on what I said. Kind of funny. I wasn't always on board with our hero, and I was kind of scratching my head at some of the thoughts that he had especially. But I found this nonetheless to be a really intriguing story. If you like your heroines hilarious and your heroes kind of bossy and gruff, you are going to eat this up. The tail end of it just about brought me to my knees. It was so good. Coming in at number 4, My Boyfriends Are All Monsters by Kimberly Lemming. This one is actually the one that got the lowest score on Goodreads, believe it or not, out of all 6, while I gave it a 4.5 stars. This one on Goodreads so far has a 3.12, and I'm curious to see what happens as the month progresses. I had never read Kimberly Lemming before. Actually, that's not true. I started one of her books, I think it was That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, and it didn't feel like the voice was something that was jiving with me, at least not at the moment. I probably need to give it another go. go because I enjoyed this story immensely. I was actually really scared at points. I thought the narrators were absolute perfection. I was laughing out loud to the point where I was crying. And the spice was way too much for me. I think I almost dropped the dishes in the sink while I was doing dishes because wow, that was intense. Let me explain what this is about. We have a woman who is with her awful boyfriend. She's not doing all that well on this hike. She sort of stumbles into a place with a wishing well where she makes a wish that she would be loved, and an immortal being overhears her and decides to grant that wish for her and does it in really creative and sometimes hilarious ways. It was fun. It's just off the wall. It was bananas at points. But I really had fun with it. I actually think this is one of the ones where you might want to listen to it because I thought the narrators were spectacular. As I said, I was actually scared at one point. Coming in at number 3, Hot for Slayer by Allie Hazelwood. This story focuses on a vampire and her vampire hunter who find themselves stuck in an apartment together, and he's had an accident and has lost his memory. So he doesn't realize that though he's been hunting her for millennia and is always trying to unalive her, he now has his chance, but he has no idea who he is or who she is. They're both realizing that there's some major chemistry going on between the two of them. I found this to be so incredibly fun. I gave this a 4.5 stars and it received a 4.03 so far on Goodreads. I felt like I was listening to an entire novel. I loved both the male and female narrators. They were perfection. I also enjoyed how the story unfolded. We're treated to various timelines. Things are unfolding for our two protagonists at different rates. It had the most satisfying ending that really tied nicely into the season. Coming in at number 2, Space Vampire by Ruby Dixon. I could tell this book wasn't going to take itself very seriously right away because in the trigger warnings they talked about vampires in space. I was so ready for this. I was really excited to enjoy something a little bit different. I've enjoyed the Ice Planet Barbarian series. I'm in the midst of Ice Home, and so to go on this space station was pretty neat. We have a woman who's basically been a poodle. She's a pet of an alien, and the space station is all about creating clones, essentially. They splice different genetic pieces of different aliens, and they create things, and then they basically become gladiators, and these highfalutin aliens will order their own spliced up alien for trials and things like that. It's terrible. It's terrible. One of the species that they just created, it goes all wrong. So everyone evacuates the space station, leaving behind our little poodle, our human, who's about 30 years old and wears a bow on her head because she's a little pet, and the entity that they created that they cannot control. I really enjoyed the story. I loved, again, the setting of feeling like we're out in space, but we're on this secluded space station. Like I felt like I was there, which was really fun. I need to do more sci-fi, I think is what I'm learning. I loved our hero. I don't want to give too much away about him though, because I think that's part of the fun, just learning exactly what he is and what he can do and the ways that they learned to coexist and maybe even to solve their problems together, because they can't just stay on the space station, just the two of them forever. I gave it 4.5 stars. Goodreads has given it 3.53 stars. It felt like the perfect bite-sized novella. It didn't really leave me wanting more. I felt like I got a full, satisfying story in one sitting. Did you have to suspend belief a little bit about our hero? Yes, but that was fine for me because in the end, it was just exactly what I was looking for. And coming in at number 1, Beautiful Nightmare by K.T. Robert. Now, what's interesting about this is I gave it a perfect 5 stars. It's got the lowest rating on Goodreads of all of the Scared Sexy series. So I don't even want to read the reviews because I think it might disappoint me. I was actually nervous about this. What I've heard is K.T. Robert is very maybe dark and not for me based on what I've heard, and so I've avoided her. And yet somehow here I am having read a short story that she wrote and loving it more than any of the other ones. Like if you had told me that I was going to feel that way, I would not have believed you. Our heroine is a sleep demon. Think Disney's Monsters, Inc., but for grown-ups. We have demons that go into people's rooms at night and then feed on their fear. Her very first victim is Caleb, who is a gorgeous cinnamon roll of a man. Their first encounter goes horribly wrong. She is just the sweetest, most endearing demon. We're treated to beautiful spice, an ending that literally made me cry. I just adored all of these characters. I don't know how in 52 pages KT Robert was able to build a fully believable world and organically bring up existentialism, sexuality, gender, and societal issues and make it feel totally organic. I was so in love with the way compassion, empathy, caring for another being was woven through the story. And I don't think I can say any more because I don't want to ruin anything. Part of the fun is just not knowing what's going to happen. But I fell head over heels for the story. And now I need to know what else by KT Robert I can handle. Well, that was my take on the books. What about you? What did you think? If you haven't read them yet, let me know if there's one you're especially excited to try. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is you're reading, whether it's scary, sexy, or not. Until next time, thanks so much. Take care. Bye.